In this weekly forecast, I deliberately choose to focus on the guidance that you need to hear in regards to your rising sign. And if you want a deeper level as well, you can listen afterwards to your sun sign and to your moon sign as well. But one of the main reasons that I've chosen this area to focus on is that I see right now very much in the sky, in the collective, that this is a bridge between worlds. There are some things from the past that we have been learning for a long time that needs to be re-evaluated. There are some illusions that need to be broken down, and there are some important decisions that needs to be taken in the second half of August. So we begin here on Monday the 17th of August, and we start off with quite a few events astrologically. First and foremost, we have Mars that square Neptune at around 4 degrees. We have Mars in Cancer, and Neptune is obviously still in Aries. And this is one of those moments when we have a square, there's a need for integration, there's a confrontation here. Mars in Cancer is very much about our domestic life. How do we healthily set our boundaries? How do we deal with our difficult emotions such as anger in a healthy way? And how do we express ourselves authentically, but still remember that there needs to be some personal boundaries, that not everyone can have access to your personal life. When we have Neptune in the picture, there's a message here about some illusions that you might be carrying, illusions around how you go about your daily life, your house, your home environment, your foundation, your emotional nurturing and needs for nurturing as well. And again, how you assert yourself. There might be some illusions around those things that needs to be put to the ground in order for you to see more clearly how to move ahead. It's also a time where there can be some confrontations in regards to your true emotions versus how other people want you to act. Then we also have a supportive trine between Mercury and Saturn at 14 degrees. So this is both in fire signs. This is an aspect where some of your passion projects or creativity might have quite a great influence on a broader vision for your life right now. If there are any projects or any thing that you would like to make real on the long term, on a legacy term, because that's Saturn as well. Now is a good time to start writing about it, to perhaps make a project plan, to at least use the Mercury's ability to communicate from the heart, to get it out on paper. Vision boards are great as well. Anything that can get you excited about where you're going on the long term. And then we also have Venus in Libra, sextile to Jupiter in Leo at 10 degrees, which is also exact on the 17th. So there's a beautiful and naturally benefic configuration beginning of this week, which will really help you to move through illusions that are not helping you on your future vision, communicate from your heart, and then also feel that there are supportive energies around you to make that happen. Then on August the 21st, we have Venus in opposition to Saturn. And whenever we have oppositions, there are two seemingly incompatible forces at stake that need some active integration in order to get along with each other. So think of Venus, the balancer that wants beauty and peace, but also sometimes is a bit of a people pleaser. Then alongside the youngster version of Saturn in Aries, meaning that Saturn is definitely the old man that wants you to mature, but at the same time in the sign of Aries, he needs to have a fresh perspective. So there might be themes around love, how you give love, how you spread peace. Are you people pleasing just in order to control, or are you staying true to yourself, and can you deal with the uncomfortable things that might arise when there are arguments in the air, or people do not agree with you, or even authorities, or what you think is an authoritative figure that you might need to confront in a loving way, but at the same time hold firm boundaries. And then when we look to the 22nd of August, it's also worth mentioning that we have obviously the Sun at 29 moving into 29 degrees and meeting up in exact conjunction to the South Node at 29 degrees Leo, and obviously we have a North Node activation at 29 degree Aquarius as well. So this day is definitely an energetic portal that can be felt, because the Sun is going to really illuminate what we are leaving behind of the negative traits of Leo, and will also in opposition be highlighting the new vision for humanity, where we want to go in life. And whenever we have those last energetic degrees, you might experience some inner epiphany, or just a sensation that the energies feels different for you, or maybe you even feel called to take a certain amount of action yourself towards a specific goal. And then it's also worth mentioning that this week we will have the Sun entering Virgo on August the 23rd. And then at the same time we have the Sun trine to Chiron at 0 degree Virgo for the Sun, 0 degree Taurus for Chiron, which will be exact on the 23rd, 24th, depending on your time zone. I think that's really important to mention as well, because that will add to the flavor of the energy and astrological weather of this week, because the moon is also in opposition to Mars and is squaring Neptune that day. So there are some really strong lunar transits that might stir up subconscious patterns, things we didn't see before, and definitely some emotional needs that we need to address, or at least become wiser about. So don't be surprised if you feel that the beginning of the week is almost in contrast to the ending of the week, because there's sort of like a yin-yang effect here. There are some activations, choices to be made, and then there's a need for retreat and go inwards and look at how can I then balance myself, so that I both listen to the actions that I need to take, but also follow my heart, my intuition, and what my emotions are telling me. And finally, if you enjoy these kind of forecasts, I highly appreciate if you give it a like, comment, or subscribe to my channel, because it really helps to get the messages out to more people. So thank you so much. And as I always advise, start listening to your rising sign first, then you can go ahead and listen to your sun sign, and to get the emotional perspective too, you can listen to your moon sign. So enjoy. For you, Aries rising, first and foremost, this week there might be some important questions for you to ask yourself around what do you need of a home environment to feel safe, to feel nurtured. There might be something around family members or your own emotional needs, and how to make that happen, not from projections of other people or what other people want you to do, but from your own independence. It's very important that you hold firm ground for this week. There might be other people's illusions or projections on you that could get you off track. I would say it's highly important that you learn the language of boundaries. So if you feel annoyed, if you feel frustrated, or if you have something coming up at the start of this week where you feel that your boundaries, especially emotionally boundaries, were overstepped, I would not take that lightly. I would use it as a compass of whether you should keep those people or situations in your life moving ahead. There might also be the sensation that Neptune has been clouding your ability to choose what is right for you in regards to a home environment. There might be some difficult choices to make as well. But you will be emotionally supported to go after what's right for you, to cut the strings to everything that is disturbing you in your private life. And then we also have the Mercury trine to Saturn. So when we look at it from your perspective, well, you have Mercury in your 5th house and Saturn obviously in your 1st house. So there's something here in regards to creative endeavors, how you experience joy in your life, that needs to be put into structure. So ask yourself this week, what projects, what things brings me joy, and how can I make a structure, a container that holds my vision so that it will become reality as well. Because sometimes the blind spot here can be that you tend to overlook what's easy and what's joyful. So when you have Mercury in this very heartfelt position in your 5th house where it's joyful, it's easy, you might overlook the fact that it's so easy for you compared to other people to express your creativity. But don't take this for granted. Use and utilize the energies of Saturn in trine to Mercury this week to really put a passion project together that then down the road might become very resourceful and important in your life. And because there's such a big emphasis on your 5th and your 7th house in this week, it's a time for you to really be clear about what kind of romantic relationships do you want to have in your life. The clients, the contracts, the devotion, the things that are important to you, but also joyful and keep you in a track of high energy and fulfillment. If you are in a romantic relationship, it's a good time to maybe start a project together or reevaluate your living situation, or perhaps even if there's something you would like to experience together, such as traveling or making a project together. And if you're single, this will be a great time to go out and, just have a joyful time, be a bit flirtatious, but focus on yourself, focus on your passion and your projects, and then everything and everyone that you need to meet will come your way. And finally, towards the end of the week, there might be some questions in regards to your physical health, your mental health that you need to address. It could be some subconscious patterns in regards to how you treat your body that needs to be addressed and corrected. You might feel a little bit more tired than usual if you have been working a lot. And this is a great time towards the end of the week to take time in nature and to really integrate everything that you have learned this week in regards to your own creativity and joy and connections that are close and important to you. So this is what I have for you, Aries rising, and you can go ahead and listen for your sun and moon sign as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I catch you in another video. For you, Taurus rising, there is a focus on your home environment versus your need to retreat from the world, because this supportive trine between Mercury and Saturn will be happening in your 4th and your 12th house. So I would highly recommend for you to look into what situations do I usually retreat or want to retreat, and are there elements of my home environment where I do not feel supported or where I do not feel nurtured? Because journaling about those subjects right now in the beginning of this week will really help you to get clear on a structure that is needed in your daily life, so that you don't go from one extreme to another where, one day you might be super chatty and have tons of energy, and then another day you completely need to retreat, because this could be the tendency here as well. And I would say we really like the trine between Mercury and Saturn, because there's an opportunity for a communication that usually are not so easy. So perhaps you have something in regards to the way that you nourish yourself or understand your own emotions that can now be accessed. Everything in regards to therapy, hypnosis, dream journaling will be quite beneficial around the beginning of this week for you, because you will be able to tap into the language of your subconscious mind. So let's say you have something you want to change around your home environment, or you want to move. You can actually, at the beginning of the evening before you go to sleep, you can journal about it, and you can ask questions. So you can write down in your notebook, what do I need to change, or what do I need to see, or what obstacle do I need to overcome? And you can be pretty fairly sure that you will have some sort of answer coming from your dreams, because with both Neptune and Saturn transiting over your 12th house, there's both an emphasis on dream, but when you make a container for that, such as writing it down and asking concrete questions, that is something that satisfies Saturn quite a lot. So you have a bit of luck with diving into those subjects. And then towards the end of the week, what to look out for would definitely be if there are situations in your personal life where you sacrifice your joy or, your time just for leisure and passion projects for other people, or to show up in a certain community and hold on a certain role, perhaps some responsibilities for other people. Be careful with those patterns this week, because there might be a feeling that you are neglecting yourself and that you are overlooking your own personal needs. And those things needs to be addressed. So be careful with where you tend to sacrifice joy and creativity and become highly analytic about it. Because just because you can't see it yet, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So if you have any feelings around what makes you happy, what brings you joy, go there. Go to that walk, go to that cafe, take that travel somewhere, or, whatever it is that comes in the moment that you need to do. Instead of thinking, no, because every Thursday I always go to this cafe and I help people do their homework. Well, in this week, it's time for you to do something else, Taurus. I know that you like your routines, but if you get a hunch or a feeling that you should be somewhere else than where you usually maybe go about, I would follow that intuition. And if you want a broader perspective, remember you can listen to your sun sign and then your moon sign as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope to catch you in another video. Hello Gemini rising. So the guidance I have for you for this week is centered around communication. You have Mercury in your third house of Leo, and because Leo is emphasizing your heartfelt communication, the passion you have for words, perhaps your ability to express yourself, or if you're someone who likes social media, perhaps you're a content creator, this is a great time for you to really accelerate a project and make the public see it. And that's because there will be a great opportunity for this week, particularly in the first 3 days, to focus on writing out a plan, something you want to create. Let's say you want to create a poetry collection, or you want to write, or you want to make a specific content. Now you should start to sketch out your thoughts, your perceptions, your ideas, because with Saturn transiting your 11th house. 11th house is also the public, it's acquaintances, it's communities, it's also, broader online platforms where the entire world can see you. So I would highly recommend that if you have such dreams, even if you feel like you can't reach them from your current state, don't worry, Gemini rising, everything starts with one step towards your goal. And this is sort of the sensation that is here right now, especially with Mercury trining Saturn. So there is a communication with these two elements, that is, how do I communicate or perceive or anyhow use my communicative skills in order to reach the public, but on a broader scale that might take some time and might need some structure, but will have a great payoff on a long-term scale, because it's always a little bit longer term when it comes to Saturn. But again, if we don't start today, we will not benefit tomorrow. Another thing to look out for is with Venus in your 5th house, opposition to Saturn, there might be this feeling towards the end of the week that you are a little bit in opposition to, how, let's say, your romantic life, you like to go out, you like to be a bit flirtatious or have fun, and then at the same time you're being confronted with how the public sees you, and perhaps you feel restrictive here. You feel that you can't be both, that you have some sort of illusion that you cannot both be let's say a serious writer or someone who makes content that helps people, and you think that you need to put on a certain mask and you can't be, this romanticizing life kind of type, because usually the public would see you as very mature and very responsible. But you need to confront those opposites. You need to ask yourself at the end of this week, is that really true? am I not a multifaceted human being who is supposed to express myself in all my forms? Because there are some restrictions that you might hold over yourself in regards to how you enjoy life that you think is not possible in regards to where you want to move in life. So do yourself the favor and confront those limitations. Confront if you have any fear of rejection. Perhaps you are not applying for a job or role because you think that if you are too happy about it, it's not possible. This subconscious idea that you have to suffer in order to get what you want. So really be aware of this Gemini rising this week. And if you want a broader perspective, you can also choose to listen for your sun sign and your moon sign afterwards. And don't forget to like and subscribe, maybe leave a comment. I read all the comments and enjoy them quite a lot. And I hope to catch you in another video. Bye for now. Welcome, Cancer rising. So the astrological guidance for you this week is highly in regards to your second house and to your 10th house. So with Mercury in your second house right now, there might be something in regards to your sense of self, your self-worth that needs to be communicated. Perhaps there's something in regards to how you view money and your possessions that needs to be adjusted. Maybe you're someone who gain your self-worth through how much you have achieved, how much you own or do not own, and from that perspective you're allowing yourself to perhaps stay in a small box of definition of who you truly are, both when it comes to your sense of self, but also when it comes to your public role. So right now, with this supportive trine between Mercury in your second and Saturn in your 10th house, there is a beautiful opportunity to make a strategic plan on where do you want to go financially. What kind of, let's say you are an entrepreneur or business owner, or you just want to have some sort of level up in your professional work life. Now is a great time for you to take a pen and paper, write down a specific goal, a specific number that you wish to achieve, and if any emotions arise when you do this, if any limitations comes up when you write the number down or what you want to achieve, question yourself, why am I holding back? Why am I afraid in the privacy of my own home to write down on paper what it is that I want? I find this to be such a beautiful exercise, because once we take our inner dialogue and put it out on pen and paper in front of us, we are being confronted with a side of ourselves that are usually hidden. We think that just because we have the thoughts in our mind, we tend to think, oh, they are there, they are running on autopilot, but we forget about them. Once we see them visually through our eyes down on paper, we can become aware and conscious and ask, if these beliefs are running simultaneously with what I want, how am I ever gonna achieve it? Because it's like trying to put on the speed while also putting on the brake. So particularly with this supportive trine, there is Mercury is the messenger. Remember this. So the messenger, Mercury, can go to Saturn right now, who is the structure holder, the father of time. And by him being in your 10th house, you will see that in this transit, in this period where Saturn is transiting your 10th house, you might feel that there are some delays in regards to your business or your work. But if you manage to use your time well, on the other side of this transit, in a few years, you will see that you can greatly reap a big harvest. And I would use Mercury right now to communicate, what do I want that harvest to be? Where do I want to be in half a year, in 1 year, in 2 years from now? And everything that is not coming from a sense of being worthy for who you are needs to be looked at with compassion. Another aspect is that there might be, towards the end of the week, something in your home environment or the people that you're around, if you are with family, if you are with loved ones, particularly in your home, there could be some restrictions that you feel between the home and work balance life, where you are not really managing so well to keep it in alignment. And now I hear the sirens outside, so I think that might also be a message to you about where have you either overworked yourself too much and not been enough at home, or the other way around. That will need to be addressed with this opposition happening towards the end of the week between Saturn and Venus as well. So this is the guidance for you this week and what to focus on, my dear Cancer rising. If you wish to have a broader perspective, you can also choose to listen for your sun sign and then your moon sign as well. And don't forget to like, subscribe, leave me a comment below. It makes me quite happy to hear from you guys, and I hope to catch you in another video. Bye for now. Hello Leo rising. So the astrological guidance for you this week will definitely be to begin off your week really considering how you speak about yourself. There's a lot of this energy around you right now of the person you want to become versus the person that you keep yourself in because you have certain beliefs or perceptions or thought systems that are keeping you in a specific role. So you have a wonderful opportunity to think about your long-term goals in regards to what you wish, because Leo, Mercury Leo right now is transiting your first house, is the house of the self, I am. The ability to healthily have a ego, not an ego that is too inflamed and also not an ego that is too vanished. It's the healthy balance to know thyself, to know where you want to move in your life, what you want to achieve. Questions around how, if you have a vision for who you want to become, what you want to achieve, you need to ask and utilize the energy of Mercury this week to ask the right questions around how does a person who have achieved this goal act? How do they show up? How do they speak? How would they describe themselves? That might be the most important one. How would I describe myself when I have achieved what I want to achieve? Because once you have those words, it works like spells. It works like spells that you put on your existence, and then you make all your choices from there. If you have a negative self-talk about your identity, and you yourself as a person, like, I can't do that, I'm not good enough for this, I'm too young, I'm too old, I can't change this now. Well, it's spells that you put into the future, and be particularly notorious around not doing this when you have Mercury in Leo, and with Mercury particularly in a supportive trine to Saturn this week. Utilize this energy and focus on perhaps something you would think, that's not even achievable for me, that's not even possible. Let's say you have a dream of relocating to another country that is far away, or you want to go on a long world travel, you want to, be accepted into some higher education, or you want to go to India and study philosophy or Ayurveda or whatever it might be. Well, Saturn operating in your 9th house and now with a supportive trine to Mercury in your 1st house, this is such a beautiful time for you to say, one step towards the person I'm becoming every single day will lead me into that reality, because when I have the supportive structure of Saturn helps us to become disciplined enough to take the steps we need to take every day. So this is super vital for you, Leo rising. So even if it seems like it's not achievable, or you think that other people would think, who does this person think that they are? Maybe you dream of being a millionaire, or maybe you dream of having a great resort, or maybe you want to change something for humanity. Well, you need to become that person where such reality is possible. So take a pen and paper, write down the characteristics of such personality that this happens for, and then you will see with the supportive structure of Saturn that you can actually make this happen over time and with patience. Another thing is that looking to Venus in your 3rd house in opposition later this week to Saturn, you might want to watch out for where you hold yourself back in regards to beauty, aesthetics, but also your personal boundaries when it comes to communication. So let's say that you work in media or with content, or you have any sort of job or role where you need to use your spoken or written language. Well, you might be confronted this week about some authority figure or someone that you perceive as an authority figure or system that can feel quite opposing, can feel quite oppressing to you. And your job is to not bow your head, but to go into it courageously and confront it directly, because Saturn in opposition to Venus can sometimes be a little bit intimidating, and your role right now is to not be intimidated. So that is the energy focus and what I would advise you to work with this week for you, Leo rising. If you want to have a broader insight, you can also listen to your sun sign and to your rising sign as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe leave me a comment. I love to hear from you guys. And I catch you in another video. Bye for now. Hello Virgo rising. So the astrological guidance and advice I would have for you this week is highly in regards to your subconscious mind, in areas where you might sometimes retreat yourself and perhaps feel that there are elements of your life where you feel a bit imprisoned or stuck, or have the sensation that you're not moving directly in where you want to go. And there's a beautiful supportive trine between Mercury and between Saturn this week, and these transitions will affect your 8th house and your 12th house. So now you have strong activations between, the 2 hidden houses in astrology, those 2 houses that are usually not so easily accessible. The 8th house being about your psychology and taboos and transitions and transformations and other people's depths and intertwinement with other people in general. Then we have the 12th house of your subconscious mind, unconscious mind, that is also representative of retreat and isolation and exile. So we really want to work with this week for you to make a communicative bridge between Saturn in your 8th house that is, with this transit, might make you confront deep psychological matters and patterns that you have had for ages. And then Mercury still being in the sign of Leo in your 12th house gives you the opportunity to communicate what's going on here. What is holding me back? Are there any intertwinements or contracts or depths that doesn't really serve me, that make me feel like I'm stuck? It can also be your own unconscious. You have quite a great deal of luck with tapping into your unconscious mind, your dream world. And there is a Carl Jung quote that will be particularly resonating with you, Virgo rising this week. And it is, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So there are a beautiful opportunity now to utilize the heart energy of Leo, Mercury in Leo, and then connecting that unconscious mind with your heart, the intelligence of your heart, and spend this time to do some other hypnosis, past life regressions. You can even receive acupuncture treatments, and you have a great benefit unlocking stagnation in your body in this week as well. And finally, I will also say that keep a dream journal if that resonates with you, and try to write down what is going on throughout the night, even if you don't remember that much. Another thing to perhaps look into, because you will have a strong activation when the sun moves into your rising sign in the second half of this week, and at the same time it's crossing the energetic degree of the south node. You have this feeling of an energetic portal that can really be fundamentally changing for you. There might be things in the way that you view yourself that you know needs to be revisioned, that you need to talk to yourself in a different way. You need to use your words wisely to define who you want to become and continue becoming that person and become your own best friend, basically, because you have this strong activation of your rising sign, which is basically the character in this life that makes the different kind of realities possible for you. So think about how you want to move ahead from this week, and tune into your physical body and see if you can sense that there are some difference between the beginning of this week and the end of this week. And if you want to have a broader perspective, you can also choose to listen to your sun sign and your rising sign as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe, maybe even leave a comment. I read all the comments and love them a lot. And I hope to catch you in another video. Bye for now. Welcome, my Libra rising. So the first astrological advice for this week is definitely in regards to your sense of self, how you view yourself, your physical looks, the aesthetics around you, the kind of beauty that you give value to. Because when you have Venus transiting your first house and being in opposition to Saturn in your 7th house, there could be some kind of maybe what we call forces that are usually not compatible at stake, but that needs to be integrated. So let's say that you are in a partnership, romantic partnership, or a business relationship, or the closest friends you have. Think about the one-to-one friends that you meet up with, that you consider to be the closest around you. There might be some opposing forces here to the things that you value, the things that are important to you, and the things that tends to be highlighted as important to this area of your life. And the choice that needs to be made is a choice of authenticity, a choice of what do you put in work into and devotion into long term. Because whenever you have Saturn is transiting your 7th house of relationships, and right now he's in direct communication with Venus transiting your 1st house. So you want to stay true to yourself. You want to make sure that the things that you put your devotion to are not shallow, but that they have some sense of very deep value and affection for you. And once you learn how to focus on those areas, you will see that you will not bow down to lower standards. So it can even be that there are some choices you need to make in a romantic relationship. Remember what is important to you and don't negotiate it. But at the same time, make sure, why do I have those values? Why do I give so much meaning to having this position, or looking this way, or having this sort of like material success, versus what is truly important to you in your heart. So that will be a theme that will be highlighted particularly in the second half of this week. Then another thing that is important to address for you, Libra rising, is that you have a Mercury up transiting in Leo in your 11th house. So this is in regards to how you act in your community, how you show up around broader networks, acquaintances, how the public view you in many ways, but also the rewards that you would reap from your 10th house career. So if there are things where you know that you have done an exceptional amount of work, and where you know in your guts that you did so well, and no one is kind of acknowledging it, you are the one who needs to acknowledge it this week. So there's almost this flavor that you might have achieved something great work-wise, whether you work for yourself, you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or you work for a company. It's almost as if there's a part of your career that has been not celebrated or seen by others, And the stars are saying to you, hey, you are the one who needs to communicate your own wins so that the broader communities can see it. Maybe you want to focus on some marketing. Maybe you want to celebrate yourself. Maybe you want to share with your community the wins that you have had recently. Do everything you can to, in a positive light, share those wins with a broader community. Even if you might have some past hurts about feeling invisible or not being celebrated for what you have achieved, because this, with Mercury up here in your 11th house and then in a supportive trine down to Saturn, there is a beautiful opportunity for you to really say, hey, this is important for me, this is what I achieved, and I would like to share it with you. So celebrate yourself this week. And I will finally, for you, Libra rising, also highlight that towards the end of this week, we'll have the sun moving into Virgo, and you will kind of have this shift from the public into your more subconscious mind. So utilize the energy that you have to shine in the spotlight in the first 3 or 4 days of this week, and then towards the end of the week, try to retreat and meditate and be in nature and sense the great wins that you are the only one actually responsible to show the world, because the world wants to see you shine when you want to see yourself shine. That is also an important message for you this week. And if you want a fuller picture, you can also choose to listen for your sun sign and your moon sign as well. And don't forget to leave a comment or like and subscribe. I would love to hear from you, and I hope to catch you in another video. Hello, Scorpio rising. So the astrological guidance you might need to hear this week could be centered around your work life and the health of your physical body. It is highly activated the daily routines that you do in order to take good care of yourself, because you have Saturn transiting your 6th house. The 6th house is all about, your daily routines, your habits, your day-to-day work life. And it's important to take a look, particularly at the beginning of this week, and see if what you do on a daily basis and how you show up on your workspace, whether you are self-employed or you work for someone else, if they are compatible. There might be some needs in your public role, like your work, that you need to address. Maybe you need to assert yourself to an authority figure and trust your own body. Some very basic examples could be that you or your body is telling you very strongly, I need to take vacation days, or I need to have a day where I work from home because I feel exhausted, I've overworked myself, I've not had the time to really tune into what I need to stabilize myself. Now is the time, with the supportive trine between Saturn and Mercury in your 10th, that there might be something in your work environment you need to address, and you need to address it both courageously but also from your heart. So let's say that there's something you're afraid to ask for. Could be a health insurance or a leveling up of some benefits, and you have wanted in a long time to ask your boss or whoever is in charge for that regulation. Now is a wonderful week for you to define, what am I going to ask for? Why do I need it? And when do I need it? And then go to, the perceived authority figure and make sure that you get it. And another way could be that there's simply something in your day-to-day life, your work routine, that doesn't really sustain the level in which you need to show up in your public career life. So maybe there are some habits around your sleep time, maybe you are too much on the screen, maybe you don't eat healthy enough, and those you will need to address and adjust so that you have more energy to pursue the career you wish, or to basically show up in your public life, because those 6th and 10th house is highly activated for you, especially in the beginning of this week. Then when we move a little bit further along, there is also a need for you to address perhaps some tendencies where you retreat, where you might feel that your needs are not being met and that people don't understand you. And then your default setting might be to go and retreat, be in your own space, feel that the world doesn't understand you, don't want to support you. And this can feel particularly harsh towards the middle and end of this week, where you might be confronted with, a person that you find to be an authority figure or a system that you maybe wrongly perceive as above you, where you need to hold your ground and really trust that what you need to feel good and to feel safe and to feel held is just as important as this oppressing force. And sometimes the oppressing forces lives within ourselves. Maybe you feel shame around retreating, maybe you feel shame when you need alone time. Then now is a great time to confront, why do I feel like that? And are there other more balanced ways in which I can rejuvenate myself when I feel overwhelmed, particularly when you feel overwhelmed emotionally? So those would be the things and areas I would focus on for you, Scorpio rising. And if you wish to have a fuller picture as well, you can listen to your sun sign and then your moon sign. I think that particularly your moon sign for this week would be really beneficial for you to listen to. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe leave a comment below. I love to hear from you guys, and I catch you in another video. For you, Sagittarius rising, the astrological guidance I can give you this week is highly around your 5th and your 9th house, because there will be some elements in regards to how you make your creativity and joy come into manifestation. So let's say that's something that you always dreamed of doing, that is fun to you, that you like to experience, but you have a feeling that these things are being delayed for you. One of the reasons that might be happening is that you have Saturn transiting here, and he will still be staying for quite a while, so you better get used to this energy. But the beautiful news is that with Saturn here, he is actually helping you to bring those dreams and those creative projects into manifested form when you start to make one step at a time, and trust that there is a process, that if you follow the recipe one by one and make the right decisions today, it will be your blessings tomorrow. So for this week, there is a very supportive, beautiful trine between Saturn and Mercury in Leo. And Leo is in your 9th house. The 9th house is regards to your belief systems, is traveling, it's higher education. It's also about, long distance connections. So right now, I would say tap into your wildest dreams. Tap into where do I want to be in 1 year? Where do I want to be in 2 years? Even if even to yourself it sounds like wild, but you are Sagittarius rising. You have it in you. You have the fire. You just need to ignite it. There might have been some things recently for this year particularly where you felt you are being slowed down, you're being asked to be more serious than what you like. But this is actually benefiting you, Sagittarius rising, because sometimes your adventurous spirit can hold you back from having the structure that is needed and the roots that is needed to make a long-term goal or project come true. And particularly beginning of the 4 first days of this week, if I were you, I would really find an outlet to communicate your wildest dreams. It can be either you write about it, you make a painting about it, or you talk to a friend about it. No matter what form, you need to utilize the energy of Leo right now, because Mercury in Leo is the ability to connect your mind and your heart and communicate out into life. What do I truly want? What do I truly desire? Perhaps you wish to relocate to some complete different destination across the other side of the Atlantic, who knows, and you are holding yourself back because you have been delayed in some projects, or maybe in your romantic life you don't feel so fulfilled, you don't really feel like you're meeting anyone that you're compatible with or that brings you joy. It can even be there is something in regards to children, because the 5th house also governs children. So there might be some obligations here where Saturn reminds you, yeah, you have obligations, but the way that you perceive those obligations can also be a true gift. And so now with Mercury trine to Saturn, really try to see how big you can dream, how far you can go, and how much you dare to ask the universe for this, because this will only be the beginning of a seed that you are planting, that when you least expect it, you will see the blessings of it. Another element to be aware of is right now you have Venus in your 11th house, so in the public eye, in broader communities, around acquaintances, you're being perceived as very charming. You have a great deal of luck if you want to apply for an art grant, or there is some sort of elements in where you want to go, where you need to be seen by the broader public, even when it comes to, content creation and media in general. And utilize this energy from Venus here, and really use it also to confront the sides of yourself where you think, oh, it's not possible, I'm not likable, people won't like it if I go for my dreams, if I shine too much, people might talk behind my back, and so forth. Because in Venus opposition to Saturn, those inner critics, those voices, those past failures and delays might be brought to the surface. And the way that they come to the surface is in how you act in public, how you act in big groups of people, how you act in your community as well, and how you show up if you're someone that uses social media to reach a broader audience. So use that charming energy that Venus gives you right now, and use it to utilize your dreams, and don't feel bad for it. Because when you shine, you allow other people to shine as well. There is someone who needs to see you on stage so that they can be inspired. So that's basically the highlights of this week, Sagittarius rising. You can also choose to listen for your sun sign and your moon sign as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And leave me a comment. I read all the comments. I really enjoy that, and I hope to catch you in another video. Bye for now. Welcome, Capricorn rising. So one of the astrological guidelines I can give you for this week is to really take a thorough look at your home environment. So anything that has to do with your home, your roots, your ancestry, perhaps even your connections to your mother line, maternal line, and to your own emotions. How do you nurture yourself? Do you have any routines that support that? Are you being kind to yourself? Are you making sure that your emotions matter? Because right now, you have been feeling for a while that Saturn is in your 4th house, and he asks you to build a solid foundation for yourself in regards to your home, your roots, and your emotions. And this week is particularly important for the first 4 days to focus on elements where perhaps on a psychological level, or in regards to debt or taxes or intertwinements with other people or family members, there could be some things that needs to be addressed. And it's going to be positive because you have a Mercury Leo transiting your 8th house. The 8th house is one of the hidden houses in astrology, meaning it's not so easily accessible. It is operating a bit beneath the surface, and it can be some things there that we don't feel so comfortable with confronting. However, when you have Mercury operating here, there's a connection between the mind and the heart. You will be more consistent in knowing how to both speak to yourself, handle your own psychology, but also speak out your needs. And this is particularly important because Mercury is forming a supportive trine to Saturn right now. So this will be a great time for you to really reevaluate if you have any debts, if you have any taxes that needs to be paid or looked at, and if you have some level of anxiety or fear around a person or people or family member that you might need to have an important talk to or talk with, now is the time to do that. But do it from a very structured, very grounded perspective, because Saturn in your 4th house is asking you for emotional maturity. So the recommendation for me would be that the kind of communication that you have is still rooted in your true emotions, in your authenticity, but they cannot be purely emotional arguments, meaning if you say, I feel angry when this happens or this contract is being, twisted and it's not in my favor, then that's not really helpful for you. But if you communicate that in order for me to feel safe and to feel grounded, we need to talk about this contract and how it benefits both me and you. Those are the sort of rooted communications that you can have. If you are in a partnership or if you are somehow financially intertwined with family members, this will also be the same way to go about it, to utilize the energy of Mercury in Leo transiting your 8th house and understand how you can communicate your needs in those matters. Super important for you this week. Then there is also another element that is in regards to your career and your public life, because you have Venus transiting in your 10th house and she will be in opposition to your 4th house. So are there things where you could benefit from showing up in a way true to your heart in your public life? Even if you work for yourself, are there communicative styles in which you should experiment a little bit more with, saying things that are highly relatable on an emotional level that usually you would disregard and think, that's not how I want to show myself in my public life, because there might be a need to integrate a bit more of those nurturing sides of yourself in your public life. And even in regards to your home life, you need to maybe show up a little bit more CEO-like in your roots, in your personal life, so that you can have the boundaries between you and family members or the house or environment that you live in. So those two seemingly opposing forces will need to have a talk with each other this week, and it can feel a little bit more heavy because it is an opposition, but it is an important focus to have. So that's what I have for you, Capricorn rising. You can also choose to listen for your sun sign and your moon sign as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe, perhaps even leave a comment. I love to read the comments from you guys, and I catch you in another video. Bye for now. Welcome, Aquarius rising. So the astrological advice and guidance I can give for you this week is highly in regards to your 7th house of romantic relationship and close friendships, and also in regards to your 3rd house, how you communicate and express yourself, your perceptions and so forth. So the first thing to pay attention to is particularly how you communicate in regards to perhaps the closest friends you have, if you have any business and clients connections, and also if you are in a romantic relationship. Even if you're not and you're single, now is still the time to write about what you truly want in a romantic relationship, because Mercury in transit here in Leo over your 7th house, having a supportive trine to Saturn in your 3rd house, really emphasize the need for solid and heartfelt communication. Also the sort of communication that makes sure that you are clear in your intentions. What do you want from a romantic partner? What do you want from yourself? How do you want to show up in friendships? What do you want from friends? And finally, if you work for yourself, it's very important to look at business contracts and your relationship with clients as well. What do you wish to experience? Because Mercury is asking you to bring those messages into life. When Mercury is in Leo, he's courageous and he's bold and he's operating from the heart. It is that passionate spirit that doesn't hold back and goes for what he wants without fear. Then at the same time, because you have Saturn transiting your third house, you could have felt this year quite restricted in expressing yourself. Maybe you felt that the way that you usually communicate, maybe even how you write or how you think, your mindset, has felt restricted or bound or slowed down. And this is pretty common with Saturn in the third house, because Saturn wants you to slow down and revision if the way that you speak to yourself, the words that you use, are they sustainable? Do they bring you into the future that you wish to see? I really love this quote about how today's choices becomes tomorrow's blessings. So what choices can you make today that becomes a blessing tomorrow? Highly in regards to the way that you communicate. Don't assume that people will automatically know what you need if you don't even know how to express it yourself. That will be a highlight for you particularly. And because, you are someone who are quite many ways far ahead of other people, having an Aquarius ascendant, you can see and sense things into the future that most of the other signs are not as strong as doing as you. But that also means that sometimes you can come across as a bit, ungrounded and aloof and perhaps not so understandable. It's almost as if you expect other people to get you, if you expect a partner, close friends to almost telepathically read your mind, you will be disappointed. And therefore it's super important that you utilize your words from your heart and speak into existence what you wish, and do it in a way that is compassionate. Because we also have to remember that right now, with Venus transiting your 9th house, if there's anything in regards to your belief system, philosophy, travel of some sort, that is sort of like the inspirational scene in which you need to draw from when you need to find your curious side on how to communicate with a partner or friends. So a great advice also for this week would be, if there's an important talk that you need to have with someone, utilize, go on a walk, think of the broader perspective, trust your own philosophy, trust the journey that you're on, and trust expansion. This is so important. Question what kind of communication makes me stay stuck in a loop, and what kind of communication opens up new worlds that I haven't even entered yet. So those will be the highlights for you, Aquarius rising. Also remember to listen for your sun sign and your moon sign as well, and don't forget to like, subscribe, perhaps even leave a comment. I love to read the comments from you guys, and I hope to catch you in another video. Bye for now. Hello, my Pisces rising. So some astrological guidance and advice for you this week would definitely be in regards to your spending habits and your day-to-day life. So as you already know, you have Saturn transitioning your 2nd house, and he's been here for this year, and he will continue to stay there for quite a while. And sometimes having Saturn in your 2nd house really gives you a glow up in regards to your finances, how you spend, how you save, and the things that you put value onto. However, you could also sense perhaps that there's a bit of a restrictive energy. Maybe you are working on something and you don't feel like you get the financial payoff on it. It could also be that you realize that the connection between your sense of self-worth and the money that you earn are out of balance. It could be that you have achieved everything that you want, and now you're at a state where you just can't take it in, or you haven't achieved what you want and therefore you think you're not worthy. Well, these things will really need to be addressed this week, because there is a supportive trine between Mercury in your 6th house and Saturn transiting your 2nd house. So right now, there could be things in regards to your health, your day-to-day habits, your work, the things that you do deliberately and repeat every day. There can be elements in your day-to-day routines that will benefit from you actually writing down a structure that you need to have in order to feel better. So let's say that you are in lack of vitamin D, just to have a silly example. Well, you will need to take some action and make an investment on buying vitamin D supplements. And now you need to communicate with Saturn that this is a expenditure that I need, and therefore this will be good for me in my day-to-day routine. Everything in regards to this will pay off for you on the long run, because trine is a supportive energy, and when you are conscious about it, when you spend the time to communicate what you need instead of having very, spontaneous purchases, this is what Saturn likes and this is what Saturn rewards. There is also another element. Again, I will say that if you feel somehow that there has been something of inflammation or chronic pain or anything like that playing out in your physical body, now is the time for you to make the investments in anything that could make that better. But the way that you go about it is to search for knowledge, because Mercury is also a messenger and he governs knowledge. So if there's anything you need to know, you will have quite a bit of luck finding the right practitioners, the right book about it, the right steps to take in order to start implementing things in your day-to-day routine and life that will highly elevate your health on a long term. And I cannot help but think about Ayurveda, for instance, which is, there's no quick fixes, but there are the small things that you do to harmonize the body on a daily basis that then sustains you and sustains your health over a longer period of time. Another thing to pay attention to this week, I would say for you, is that in your 8th house you have Venus transitioning, and with this transition there might be a need to bring more compassion into your psychology, your deep subconscious, maybe some dependencies or intertwinement with other people, their resources, their finances, because you can very well feel that maybe you are in a period of separation from dependency, and you are learning how to be interdependent. And this will be a bigger process for you with Saturn in your 2nd house in opposition to your 8th. And depending on your personal birth chart, of course, and if you have any personal planets there, this will be quite a journey for you moving ahead for the next 1.5 year time. But with Venus transiting here right now, there is an heart-opening portal where you can connect more with your true needs, and you can bring more compassion to yourself in that area as well. So that's what I have for you, Pisces rising. You can choose to listen for your sun sign and your moon sign as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and maybe even leave a comment. I love to read from you, and I catch you in another video. Bye for now.